Oh, dearie me, a little bit of a signal dip. Right, what I was going to say is the only person who gets more excited than I do about wild dogs is, of course, the inimitable Brent Leo Smith, who will be like a dog with a bone now that he has fresh wild dog tracks. Let's go and find out where he is.
Good morning and welcome to Safari Live. Isn't this exciting? I'm just stopped here. I'm trying to listen. I heard a Franklin sounding a little bit upset, and I'm half hoping to see a puppy appear. So I'm Brent. I've got Dangerous Dave, the objectified dish, on the back with me today. And we're hoping for some wild dogs. Now, those of you who keep an eye on the Djuma dam cam, they could easily pop up there for a drink. So their tracks basically head straight towards us, opposite where we are, but with wild dogs they can change direction like that as soon as they see something. So let's keep moving. I'm just going to do a little loop down Rebecca's Road here, and then if I get nothing by the corner, I'm going to head back to Quarantine. They like coming through this block to the western edge of Quarantine. And remember, keep an eye out on the Djuma dam cam. And also remember, we're on a live safari, and you can ask us questions by popping us an email on questions@WildEarthTV, or use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Come on, puppies, those impala look far too relaxed. Impala, alarm call, as we've seen many times, for lion and leopard. They'll snort at them, even walk towards them once they've been spotted. With the African wild dog, they don't. They just disappear. They just start running in every direction to try avoid those very successful predators. I'm going to go a little bit further, but if I think the impala are looking that relaxed, and they might not have passed through here, because even the whiff of a wild dog is enough to send an impala scattering. Now, wild dogs, you can also smell them once they've passed. It's a very distinct sort of musty, wet dog / old cupboard odor. I haven't got a whiff just yet. Okay, so just checking carefully here. Have you found the tracks up ahead somewhere, heading into this block? I'm just trying to decide where I'm going to go next. I haven't seen any tracks, so they've gone into this. It's quite a large area without any roads. So I think what I might do is go down to our southern boundary and then work my way back towards this area. Quite a big vista from here, so I'm trying to check into the block, see if I spot that movement of a dog dashing through the mixed broad-leaved woodland that predominates the Sabi Sands Game Reserve. Now every now and then I'm going to turn off if they are hunting and they get separated. They use a wonderful call called the woo call, Not a woo girl, and we don't get any of those out in the bush, although apparently there were a few around last night. But we get a woo. There we go. Standing by. We get woo calls. Okay, so Herbie says he's just behind me. I'm listening for that woo call, which just goes woo, woo, woo. Come on, call back, guys. No, very unlikely. My woo call is probably not nearly good enough to attract a dog. Just going to chat to Herbie quickly. Herb, from the junction Ballinati's days, confirms straight due south, so sort of towards Treehouse Down in the block. Copy. Okay, so we're just trying to figure out the plan. And while we figure out the plan, Jamie's going to show you exactly what a wild dog track looks like.
No, the tracks are...
We're sitting here at the junction with Herbert, who has just pointed out where he found the tracks. Right next to where we were going to go and search for Shadow, as it happens. Alright, we're going to hop out and we're going to try. Unfortunately, the light's not fantastic. Oh, goodness. Speedy doesn't want to stay on my head. That's not fantastic, but we're going to try and show you what a wild dog track looks like. So, Herbert has very kindly circled them already for us. Oh, and I'm going to try and just lift that up. So the stick's fallen on top of them, but the track is here, and it looks very, very similar to a hyena track, except much smaller. So it's got the two lobes at the back of the pad. I'm going to draw it for you, because it's difficult to see. Here is a toe, here is a toe, here is a toe, here is a toe. And the one thing that you see really, really clearly in wild dog tracks, claws. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Little dots in the sand, because they have got quite prominent claws. It's not easy to see in this light. Here is another track. They don't have the crosswalk that the hyenas do. In other words, their feet fall straight. They don't fall at an angle. With a hyena, your foot goes off at a right angle, and then the back foot kind of, they walk like, what's this called? Kind of like a duck, with their feet slightly turned out to their body. Now, wild dogs do not do that. Little dots of toes. Herbert thinks there's 3. I'm impressed he can tell that, because the tracks just go everywhere, as do wild dogs. Question is, did I miss tracks on Philemon's cut line? If I did, Brent is never going to let me down. Live it down. Let's go check. Oh, Speedy's not working out for me. Sorry, everybody, I know it's noisy because that's where my microphone sits. But for some reason, Kirsty's Beanie really doesn't want to stay on my head today. Here we go. Alright. Let us go, I guess. But where to? Going to be listening to Brent and Herbert on the Game Drive channel as well, try and coordinate a plan of attack. Herbert says these tracks are very fresh, which makes sense because they certainly weren't here yesterday as we drove home in the evening. Whoa. Everybody hold on. Things might get a little bit bumpy. Right. Let's go. We're going to take the same route that we're going to go back along the road that Brent took. There's no harm in that because the dogs crisscross so much that it increases our chances of actually finding them. And Shelly, absolutely. I'm so excited to see wild dog. It's been months since I last saw them. I know James had a sighting recently on Djuma. I have been waiting ages, patiently, sort of patiently, almost patiently, for us to find wild dogs once again. And of course the best part of it will be round September, I would say, or so, that we get to the part of the wild dog breeding season where we might actually even see the pups when they come out. And one day we're going to have a live safari where we've got wild dogs denning, and that is something incredible to look forward to. I have never seen a newly born wild dog puppy, but it is something that would, I'm sure, melt the heart of the hardest person. And I can't wait for some of you, it might even be your first time encountering wild dogs. We've got some kudu staring at us out of the bushes. They also look relatively relaxed. They don't look as though they've just encountered a pack of wild dogs, but perhaps 3 is not too much of a threat to them. They all look pretty calm, cantering through the bushes, but only really, it's sort of half-hearted, that race towards each other. It's just away from the big male that's walking at the back. Now, we spoke a lot about this yesterday, about the fact that you can gauge plenty of what's going on around you from the animal's behavior. They don't look nervous, although I think they might just have picked up the smell of wild dogs. Staying huddled together, but stopping to feed. No, I don't think that they are too concerned. Stop it. Yeah, okay. Let's carry on. See if we can't figure out where these wild dogs have gone. And it's interesting, their tracks immediately cut into the block. Let us see, let us see. You can see Brent on the other side of this patch of vegetation on the road called Philemon's Cutline. Oh, and one enormous waterbuck bull. Oh, hello, boy. You are mighty handsome. Lots and lots of general game around. Usually when wild dogs come sprinting through an area, you often find it becomes completely deserted. But here we've got a magnificent waterbuck bull. Looking back into the block. Now, again, a pack of 3 probably wouldn't target a waterbuck of that size. Wouldn't really be worth the risk. However, if there were more dogs, and the Sands pack at its original, or the first time I ever saw it, numbered 21 individuals a couple of months ago. I'm uncertain as now, at this point, in terms of puppies and so on, what the final count is for the Sabi Sand pack. But it would be very interesting to know. But a group of 21, and it can go right up to 30, even up to 40 dogs in certain packs. And then what happens from there is very often you get breakaways from the wild dog pack itself moving off. And what that means is whilst we have 2 wild dog packs that we are very, very familiar with, the Investic and the Sabi Sand pack, what that does mean is that occasionally we encounter what are known as dispersal packs. Rebecca is a little bit concerned that I can't hear her. I absolutely can. Sorry, Rebecca, I'm concentrating on the search for the wild dogs. I do hear you. All is well. Fresh wild dog tracks and yet no wild dogs. They seem to melt into the bush, particularly when there's only 3 of them. I think if we don't come up with any luck here, I'm going to take a chance and head a little bit further west. There might be a chance that they're heading back towards the den site. But let's just do one more loop, and then we'll expand the search outwards ever so slightly. Luckily for us, there's impala here. I'm not going to stop for them right now, but they're far too relaxed. Now generally, this is the one animal that impala the one predator that impala don't even think about alarm calling for. They don't even waste their breath. They just run. When they see wild dogs coming, they sprint away. They don't even bother trying to warn the others, and that's because wild dogs have the speed and stamina to chase them down. So they're not standing to wait for them to see what they do. They know at any time they could become targets, and they just want to leave the area as quickly as possible. While we do this loop, and at some point I think we might even encounter Brent on the road, but while we do this loop, let's head back onto his vehicle, find out how he's doing.
Good news and bad news, and the good news and the bad news is exactly the same thing. We have no tracks coming out here, but that's also good news, because they just crossed behind us. So they must have just run straight behind us, because we just checked that area very carefully. So let's see, they are going south. Jamie, it looked like they crossed behind me. Weaver's Nest Junction's Philemon's. Just check that area on foot as well. Sorry about that. We need to try and stay coordinated in the hunt for the African wild dog, one of the fastest moving predators. So even though they don't have the highest top speed, their top speed can be continued for a long time. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to go, there's Jamie, so she's going to check up that side. I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to go down to Twin Dams to make sure they don't go through. So as you can see, hunting wild dogs is not a sedate thing. If you find them sleeping, that's great, but they are the most active of our predators. Now keep your eyes open, Dangerous Dave. The objectified dish. Somehow I don't think Dangerous Dave minds being objectified. There's very relaxed impala, so they could have passed through here quite a bit earlier, or they've cut through towards Treehouse Dam. I haven't got that distinct wild dog whiff yet. Morning, Gail. Gail's wondering whether wild dogs are territorial like lions and leopards. They are. So a pack will have an alpha male, alpha female, and the rest of the pack will stay with them and help them raise their young. So normally only the alpha pair will breed, but sometimes a beta female will breed as well. In certain circumstances, the alpha female will let those puppies live. In some circumstances, she'll actually kill those puppies, and they have quite a large home range, about 60,000 hectares, so about just under 130,000 acres, and Okay, Heavy's gone that way, so let's just check carefully through here. Now we're hoping to not see tracks. We're actually hoping to see the animals, because we are getting quite close to the southern edge of our traverse area. Some water back in the distance. They're very relaxed. That's not a good sign. I had a feeling the wild dogs might have gone through here while we were still sleeping, or actually while we were having coffee. Lots of relaxed kudu. Now Michael likes to know, are wild dogs, elephants causing a bit of a problem here. Are wild dogs active at night, or do they sleep during the night? So, Michael, they're mostly crepuscular, so most active at dusk and dawn, but on well-lit moon nights, they will quite often hunt through into the night. They do move at night, but they don't really hunt. Now, they try to move less at night to avoid lions and leopards, or more lions than anything else. Now, lions pose the biggest threat to the African wild dog, and most wild dog mortalities are due to lions. Thought I got a little whiff of wild dog there. No, I got a whiff of waterbuck. I've got a sneaky suspicion that they might have already skedaddled out of our traverse area. But positive thoughts, positive thoughts. Hold on. Whoopah! Now, Molly's wondering whether these dogs will be vaccinated. Of course, dogs are an endangered species, the second most endangered canid in Africa. Only about 4,500 left in the wild. And the Sabi Sands has already got a vaccination project underway. We probably won't collar the dogs, or not all the dogs, all the packs, but we definitely vaccinate. Okay. Now we made it all the way to the southern boundary. Okay. Now we're hoping not to find tracks here. Just checking very carefully. Now, I see a vehicle way down the road there that looks like it's might be looking at something, so I'm just going to be on the radio. Okay, I'm just checking very carefully. very, very slowly. Morning stations in the east. Have you guys had any updates on my Dutch this morning? Standing by. Copy. Our last tracks we had sort of opposite Lucas Open, still heading straight south. We haven't managed to locate yet. I was just seeing if anyone saw any tracks on Gowrie Main. Copy, thanks. So no tracks crossing yet. So I'm just listening to the radio. We're trying to coordinate our movements. So we've checked now, way down the southern boundary. There's Jamie. Now with wild dogs, they can change their direction at any time. Where are you off to next?
I think I'm going to go to Shabab.
Okay, I haven't done Shabab. I've only just come off Treehouse on there. So I haven't done the rest of Shabab. I think I'll do Elephant Carcass.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
Herbert's taking your dance.
Okay, cool. Alright, bye, bye, and across to you, by the way.
Oh, okay.
And bye.
And back across to us. And so we race along. Very much excitement. All of the excitement. Darby from Elephant Plains is driving the southern boundary as well, hoping, contrary to us, that they're going to come this way. Because then, of course, he gets to view them. We don't want them to go that way, because then we don't. But the wild dogs being wild dogs, they're going to do their thing regardless. Okay, this boundary's been checked relatively thoroughly. I think if we've missed them crossing, then we all need to go back to training school. If 4 professional guides have missed them crossing the road in front of us, then we've definitely got a problem. Come on, dogs. Where are you hiding? Taxon, in his sort of laconic kind of way, has said that perhaps they are in Mala Mala by now. Which is a valid point. They do eat up the distance, but you never know. I'm really hoping that's not the case. Mala Mala is quite far from here, just by the way. And Jess is watching on YouTube. Jess has said that perhaps it's time to invest in a bubble wrap suit for these moments of chaos where we go racing after wild dogs. Jess, I imagine that the cameramen feel much the same. This, of course, I think is this your first wild dog chase with us?
Yes, it is.
It is your first one. Okay, so Gert is getting to experience this for the first time. So far, we've been relatively tame. We haven't gone off-road yet. Although I have to confess, I have this sneaking suspicion if I push Wendy too hard, her wheel might fall off. So we're going to be a bit more gentle with Wendy than we might otherwise be. But Jess is absolutely right, and if you've ever missed these wild dog moments, or if you've never seen a wild dog moment like this before, you'll experience something incredible while you watch. We've just got to find them. Come on, dogs. I love these wild dog mornings. You forget about the cold, you forget about everything. There's lion tracks, so we can't forget about that. We've got to take note of that. Oh, these are from yesterday. Never mind. He crossed straight out of the property, by the way. Herbert did track him. This is the one we were tracking yesterday morning. I remember now. Oh, sorry, Gert. Cat says if it suddenly goes silent in the back, that I must just drive back and fetch him, because it means I've thrown him out, which I don't want to do. Tracks. No tracks. Just hyena tracks. That's the wonderful thing about wild dog chases in the morning. As I said, you forget about the cold, but also your brain is working at as fast as it can possibly go, because there's paw prints in the dirt. And these paw prints can be so deceptive because you're racing past, and they do at first glance really look like a hyena track, and vice versa. So for example, these tracks that I've just found now are not wild dog, they're hyena, but they have caused me a moment's delay. Of course, the other option as to what is happening is that they've killed something. With their enormously high success rate, they smell something, but it smells more like waterbuck than it does wild dog, but you never know. I think Brent described the scent of them to you. There's a distinct wet doggy smell, dirty wet dog, and they really are. They're quite filthy creatures. They're wonderful. But every time they find a fresh buffalo pat or a pile of hyena scat, nothing brings them greater joy than to throw themselves upon it with wild abandon and roll in it, leaving them with a very distinctive edge to their odor. I love it. It brings happy memories. And Yankees girl, to say that I could tell where they've gone by smell, I won't lay that claim. I cannot track by smell alone. The difference in animal smell, it's as different as different perfumes to us, or anything like that. There's different animals have really, really distinctive smells. The waterbuck have a musky goat smell, as described by James. He's far better at describing smells than I am. He described it as goat. An elephant has a grassy smell, buffalo, cattle smell, and wild dogs, dirty dog. Hyenas also have their own unique scent. It's like the animal perfumes of the bush. Very, very different for each individual species. But I don't lay claim at all to being able to track them by a sense of smell. I really don't. It just helps to say, okay, they've been here. I'm getting caught out by hyena tracks today. I don't really want to miss any tracks because I'm going to get shouted at by Herbert, who doesn't suffer such things lightly. And welcome to Michael. I spoke before about the prospect of one day having a hyena den on our, a wild dog den on our live safaris, and how incredibly exciting that would be. Now Michael would like to know if the wild dogs den like hyenas do, or do they hide the pups in thick cover in the way that lions do? And the answer is they have a den very similar to a hyena. They take over old termite mounds where they hide their pups. So in this area in particular, because there's no real rocky crevices or anything like that, they will all move into a termite mound that has been excavated by something like an aardvark, maybe inhabited by warthog at some point, and they will then move in, and that's where they will live. Whew. Okay. And the most amazing part of this whole thing is that if this is part of the Sands pack, they are heading out to find food not just for themselves, but for the pups as well. And Felicity Yes, absolutely. The wild dogs that do not breed provide food and care for the pups as if they were their own. It is such a special, really amazing society or pack grouping that a wild dog has. And what they do is only the male and the female, the alpha male and the alpha female breed. Sometimes things happen and a slightly lower ranking female will fall pregnant. Her pups seldom survive, but sometimes they do. But the whole pack is dedicated to looking after the alpha female's puppies. And they may well be siblings, they might even not be siblings. And what they will do is they will babysit them, they will guard them, they will bring back food and regurgitate it. So instead of dragging a carcass in the way that a hyena does, the wild dogs gobble up all they can. They get to the entrance of the den, and the pups solicit food by begging, making little begging sounds, and the adults then regurgitate. They basically vomit up the food, and the pups wolf it down. And they'll do the same for the babysitter. And there's even been recorded cases of wild dogs that have lost limbs, that obviously can't keep up with the rest of the pack, that will survive long before they might have otherwise, because the pack has cared for them. I even heard of a case of a wild dog that lost 2 limbs, and it stayed alive for ages because the wild dogs cared for it. They kept regurgitating food for it. How amazing is that? Okay, it's time just to calm down a little bit and sort of change the tempo from manic to frantic. And just stop and listen for a second. That might just pay off. We're at Treehouse Dam. They love this spot. Or they did, anyway. But when there was water in it. There's no longer water. It's completely dry, as you can see. The question is, where have these dogs gone? I don't even hear a sound. And we haven't picked up any tracks, but with lots of vehicles racing around, it's entirely possible that we've missed something. Hoping to hear that contact call. Whoop. Whoop. Well, I better not do that too loudly, or else Brent, with his extraordinary hearing, will come running. Okay. The wild dogs have gone east. We're searching in the wrong place. Into the rising sun we go. And we shall take Pangolin track. So they've gone east rather than south, keeping us guessing, as they always do. Keep an eye out on the Djuma Dam camera. That's the message for final control, by the way, because there is a chance that they could pop out somewhere there. Hello to Trent watching in Fiji. That's awesome to hear. Now, Trent was wondering about the wild dog hunting success rate. Does that refer to individual encounters or overall hunting attempts as a whole? There's a little bit of scientific confusion here, because a lot of the success rate might not be as successful as they are thought to be. Just because the success rate is sort of calculated on how many kills they make in a day, but we don't always know. It's very difficult to monitor exactly how many kills they initiate, or at least how many hunts they initiate versus the kill percentage that they make. That is the typical standard way of calculating success rate. So it's number of kills made divided by number of attempts, and that will give you the percentage. The thing about wild dogs is just their sheer persistence. They course through the bush and they flush things out. So it's not even, I don't know where you define a hunting attempt, because it's not like a stalk. It's very easy to look at a lion stalking and say, okay, that hunt has been initiated. That's where the hunt starts. With wild dogs, it's that constant manic motion. And as soon as they see something, they go for it. but it's not really a hunt initiated. It's a difficult thing, and what they'll often do is it's just they flushed something, they'll run after it for a little bit, and then they'll go, actually no, we don't have a chance of catching that, moving on. It's an incredible thing for us to witness. Now for us it's really, really difficult unless they are in an open area to witness them kill something. It has happened before. It happened with Hayden at one of the dams where the wild dogs managed to corner an impala in the dam itself and eventually managed to catch her. But beyond kills, it is just such a pleasure to see them move. They're like poetry in motion when we do find them. Those rippling athletic bodies of theirs, they really are just magic. And I haven't seen them in so long. I'm desperate for this chase to result in a sighting. I wonder if we shouldn't go further afield. I know that Brent had already moved a little bit further to the east, so let's jump on the back of his vehicle and find out what his plans are from there.
Welcome back, guys. Sorry, I'm still concentrating on tracks at the moment. And it looks like I've got tracks going straight to the Djuma dam cam. Just check carefully around here. Now there might have been impala or something that could have set them off in any direction. I don't have tracks anymore. The last track I had was just back there. Check back up onto quarantine. Maybe they chased something onto quarantine. Herbs looks Nkonzo and Twin Dam's quite close to WildEarthTV Dam. I've lost the Nkonzo. It looks like I might head back west towards quarantine. I'm going to check quarantine quickly. Affirm. Come on, puppies. Copy, thanks. Now, Michael Fleetwood's wondering why we use the Shangaan word, machawa, on the radio, rather than the word wild dog. It's because some of the lodges don't have earpieces like we do. Now, there were lots of impala here this morning, now there are none. It's always a good sign that dogs have been through the area. And sorry, Michael, I'm just really concentrating on them. They move so quickly, I want to make sure we spot them. I just want to listen for a second, and then I've also spotted something else. You see it there, Dave? Well done. It's a lone wildebeest, miles and miles away. Sorry, Michael. Some of the game drives do not vehicles do not have earpieces like we do. So what happens is if you shout wild dog over the radio, all their guests hear it, and they could be 25 kilometers away, and then all the guests want to rush to wild dogs. And as you can see, tracking wild dogs is not the easiest thing in the world because they are so mobile. going to skirt quarantine now. I'm not seeing a living soul on quarantine at the moment, and there were quite a few impala when we started, especially on that southern corner. Let's just head back down there. Again, I'm going to switch off in a second to listen. Now, if they've made a call, we'll hear a high-pitched kill, sorry, not a call, a high-pitched tittering call of excitement. Oh, they move so fast. There's not a living soul on quarantine, which is a good sign. The dogs might have passed through here. Just want to see where all those impala were earlier this morning. And they were right here. I just want to listen for a second. So I'm just keeping quiet and listening. Well, can't hear anything just yet. Now, hi, John Birchall, and a big Safari Live welcome. And John is a new viewer. Wouldn't it be great to see wild dogs? John said this is fantastic. Well, John, hopefully for your first time on Safari Live, we might be able to produce you some wild dogs. Now, I'm going to go back to last tracks and see if I can discern what's happening around there. Jamie is jumping ahead, checking around Gallagher Pan. So if they chase something and they didn't drink at the Djuma Pan, they might have headed across to drink at the Gallagher Pan. I'll chat to Herbie quickly. Herbie. Herb, Last Nkonzo is just to the south of Vuyatela Pan, on Twin Dams Road. I've checked quarantine. There's Lutumala or anything there, but I can't see any Nkonzo. Maybe come check this last Nkonzo on Twin Dams. So while we go to the last track and try to figure out exactly what's going on, let's jump on board with Jamie.
So while Brent heads to the last tracks that he saw, I'm taking a shot in the dark here, and we've come a little bit further north, kind of working on the assumption that somehow the wild dogs managed to duck the damn camera and get across to the other side and perhaps
exactly where that wild dog dashed off the road. Hear a hyena in the distance. But it's not an excited, I'm stealing a kill from a wild dog call. It's just a normal sort of contact call.
Losing your audio.
Okay. So the tracks were around here somewhere. What I'm going to do is Herbie's on his way. I'm going to let Herbie figure this out. I'm going to go check a little bit further to the east. Okay, I'm just going to wait for Herbie to get you. It seems like we've got Jamie again, so let's go see what she's up to.
Oopsie daisy, well it appears as though we disappeared off your screen there. Wah, what you playing about? Wah. It'd be very funny if we came racing around the corner and we bumped into a leopard or something. Not bumped literally, but if we found a leopard. Because look at these, look at this go-away bird in the tree. Can you see it there, Gert? In the knobthorn there. Looking very cross. What's wrong? But that being said, I think that the go-away birds around the Galago Pan are particularly angry. They're always shouting at something. What are you seeing? They do appear to be looking downwards. Let's just go back towards the road. What have you found? Oh, maybe not. There's a question that John has asked while we watch the go-away bird's alarm call, which is, why would birds alarm call for predators that pose no threat to them? I often ask myself that question. Because you are absolutely correct. Why does a go-away bird alarm call at a lion? The chances of a lion catching a go-away bird, next to nothing. So what is it? What atavistic instinct is it within them that tells them, oh, that's what they're alarm calling at? Oh my goodness. Oh, sorry, Gert, straight into the sun. I knew they were angry about something. It's not what we thought it was. It is a bird of prey, in this case, what looks like a harrier hawk. Yesterday we had this extraordinary sighting with a harrier hawk that pulled a snake out of a tree. Okay, that's why they sound so cross. Well, in this case, John, not alarm calling without reason, because of course this is a threat to them. Okay, I'm going to help things out here by repositioning, because this is a really tricky shot straight into the sun, and it's a really awkward angle for poor Gert. Whoopsie. It was entirely my fault, putting him there. Oh, that sun's so bright. Oh, there's two. There's two. We're gonna... There we go. I think that's actually a better view. We've got two of them here. How awesome is that? No wonder the birds are so upset. I will go a little bit... Oh, I'm positively blind. I've been staring at this into the sun and I can't see at all. My eyes are full of spots. Oh, no wonder our birds are so upset. And always, as always, first into the fray are the drongos. There's a little drongo off to the right. Just listen for a moment to the sounds around us. Well, everything absolutely furious. Whew, so angry. There he goes. Here comes the other one to join up. They are gymnogenes or harrier hawks, so professional bird nest raiders by trade. Awesome. Oh, into the sun. Magic. And there goes number 2, following behind. Well done, Gert. That's absolutely epic. There goes number 2. They've decided they've had enough of the furious birds surrounding them. They've had it, they're gone. Okay, let's go on to Mvubu Road. I've just had an update that the wild dogs are coming this way. So, well, that was a marvellous sighting. Unfortunately, it's a temporary sight. Well, it's a sighting that's over. Our stations, I'm on Mvubu Road now. I'll carry on north rather than checking the Gallagher pan. Okay, tracks are heading in that direction. That was such an awesome sighting because it gives you an idea of just how cross every single bird gets when a harrier hawk is in the area, because with their double jointed legs they raid nests, and it makes sense for each and every bird to band together and try to chase them away. And I could hear in that collection the hornbills were alarm calling, the go away birds, the drongos, and that click whistle, puffback shrike, also there. A puffback shrike, or a, what's the old name again? It's I can't remember. Sorry guys, I'm so distracted by everything that's going on around here. The wild dogs are apparently heading straight in this direction. We should even potentially go and check the old hyena den, see if they don't pop out around there. But really interesting questions coming through about alarm calls. John, I think there might be a time at which perhaps they don't distinguish, the birds don't distinguish between the potential predation of, say, by a caracal or a serval, which they definitely are a threat to them, versus a leopard or a lion. But I'm not 100% convinced on that argument. I really do see your point. Perhaps it stems back to an old evolutionary drive. I've got their tracks here. Where are they? I can even smell them. I've just picked up on their tracks going north on Mvubu Road. They're here somewhere, guys. Let me just double check this, make sure I'm not going crazy. I'm not going crazy. It's wild dogs, and they're here, I can smell them. This is where your sense of smell comes in so handy, because you can smell them and you start to know that these tracks that you're looking at are fresh. Here's a zebra. Zebra doesn't look unhappy. The tracks are still on the road, still on the road, still on the road. Not a good direction for those tracks to be going in, because north of us is the boundary. No, don't go into Bubblezook, please. Tracks still on the road, tracks still on the road, still beautifully fresh. Come on, dogs, 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 dogs. Still on the road. Remember how I said in this block they often use the road because it's so dense around them that it's quite an easy way of travelling. Their tracks have gone off the road, as I said that. No, they're still here. Oh, I can smell them. You smell that?
Yep.
I smell them, I smell them, I smell them. Oh no, we're right on the boundary. Come on, dogs. Incredible smell. Oh, not good, not good, not good. We've just missed them. We've just missed them. I think they've gone across into Buffelshoek. Their tracks have gone off the road, but they were heading straight in this direction. And we must have been moments behind them. up and down, and straight into Buffel's hook, I think. Let me just double check that. Let's make sure they're not running on the cut line, because we might still find them if they are. No. I almost want to hop out, but Brent's on his way, so he'll be able to help me spot. I think they've crossed. I don't see them crossed though. I don't see where they popped out. Ooh, Brent and I are about to have a car accident. That would be disastrous. It's a bit of a tricky spot here. It's a bit of a tricky spot. Check there in that corner. I think they've gone. I can't see where they've crossed here though. So they might be on the cut line still. I don't know if you see any tracks coming through. But I can smell them. I can smell them on a Booba Road.
What do you want to do?
Move out of your way probably is a good start. Don't put oneself... One should never put oneself between Nat.Geo Smith and wild dogs. Let's go forward a little bit. No, their tracks are still here. Yeah, definitely. You go.
Okay.
Cool, go ahead. The tracks are still on the road. We've still got a chance. I'm letting Brent go ahead because he's got Rusty. Rusty has signal at Sydney Dam. Oh no, not again, Gert. A life lesson for us all. Never put oneself behind Nat.Geo Smith on his way to a wild dog sighting either. Here we go, guys. Let me show you their tracks. While I let Brent's dust settle. There you go. As they race fresh tracks on the cut line going west towards Sydney's Dam. So they still haven't gone north. They're here. Aren't they beautiful? Look at them all the way up along the road. Absolutely stunning. Almost as good as having a wild dog itself. There's something lovely about a fresh track first thing in the morning on a road, beautifully clear, and it's just like you can picture. Can't you just picture them in that trotting way that they do going down the road? My beanie's about to fall off. I don't blame it after all of that chaos though. Sorry, I need to sneeze. Stuck again. Okay, I think the dust has settled enough for us to continue on our way slightly more sedately, because unfortunately we don't have signal in that area. Standing by. Copy. Alright, Brent's no longer got tracks on the road. He would like us to check really carefully whether they've gone. Brent is all the way over there already, at the speed, moving at the speed of light. We are going to check really carefully that they didn't go in north. We want them to go south. That's where we want them to go. It's so unpredictable in their movements. They're probably going to go straight back towards the den site now. Come on, wild dogs. No, they've already crossed off. Let me just double check that. Oh no, they haven't. Sorry guys, I'm checking really carefully. James, can wild dogs den in an old hyena den? Yes, potentially. They might. It doesn't often happen though, because they don't really want to risk the hyenas deciding to move back in to the den site itself. So they don't often move into a den site that has previously been occupied by a hyena, which makes sense. Because imagine you've got your wild dog pups and then one day, lo and behold, an entire hyena clan rocks up and says, and wants their den site back. You're going to have some, well done. you're going to have some majorly upset. What's wrong, Impala? Oh, you're a confused male, aren't you? Don't do that to my heart rate. I got very excited there. But it's just a male and his hormones, by the looks of things. I said that Impala don't alarm call at wild dogs, and they generally don't. But you can't really afford to ignore the sights and sounds of the bush. But he's just an Impala ram that's got confused. With his harem of ladies. Why do they all look so relaxed? They must have just come into this area, because there's no way that they would be looking this relaxed if the wild dogs hadn't just come through. Or had just come through. Or maybe there's a little bit of alertness to their body language. Oh, and the sun's just disappeared, which makes tracking wild dogs tricky. Let's make sure they haven't crossed somewhere here. What the wild dogs will do, just in terms of their denning, to finish off that question, they're going to choose their den site in the same, using similar criteria that a hyena clan will choose their den sites. I've lost their tracks completely. It's so hard to see here. But they definitely haven't gone north. That is the good thing about this. It's the disadvantage of being rather too short for such vehicles. Okay, let's just double check this junction up ahead and then see whether or not they haven't popped out. Now, unlike the spotted hyena, they are absolutely limited to a litter size of 2 babies, if that, and usually for young females it is only 1. Cheetah, the wild dog's puppy litter size can be absolutely enormous. So one of the highest recorded was 21. However, it is not uncommon for wild dogs females to regularly be pregnant with youngsters around 18, even 19. The average probably sits at around 13 or so pups. So the wild dog females give birth to way more babies, and that, if you think about it, is a product of the fact that they've got an entire pack to help them care for them. That's the marvelous thing about wild dogs. The truth is that they've got such a low survival rate that despite having that enormous population boost every single year, and the female will breed every single year, despite that, they still don't manage to succeed as a species out here. One of those terribly sad things. And there's stories from when Kruger National Park was started of packs of these hunting dogs. So when Stevenson Hamilton was traveling up through this area, through Lydenburg and up towards the Kruger National Park, he was the first warden of the Kruger. He describes packs and packs of up to 40, 50 individuals moving about. That's something that I only wish we could go back in time and see. Because as mankind, as a species, we have done some serious damage to the wild dogs. And even when the Kruger National Park was started, their idea, totally innocently, entirely well-meaning, their idea of a good conservation strategy was to shoot all the predators. That was how you did conservation. You shot all the predators and then all the general game would come back. And they would describe these fearsome wild dogs that would you wouldn't see game would never come back, it would destroy an area. Totally not true, of course. We understand so much more now. But unfortunately, the damage has been seriously inflicted on their populations. Right, we're going to go back to last tracks because they haven't come along this road. While we do that, let's head back over to Brent and find out how his search is going.
So we've started, we try to outthink the dogs for once, and they've been just that one step ahead of us all morning. So we rushed up towards Sydney's, Oh no, it sounds like they've gone the other way behind us. Oh dear. So we thought they might be heading towards Sydney, so we tried to jump ahead of where they might be because we could smell them there where we were with Jamie. So if they haven't gone northeast, that means they've gone back west, so... Oh dear. But it is exciting tracking wild dogs, and they are my favourite animal of all the animals we get out here in the bushveld, just because they're so exciting to track and even more exciting to follow. Copy, thanks. I'm going to do Sandy Patch back towards Impala Plains. Now, still keep an eye on that Djuma dam cam. You've seen how they can change direction so much. And they could literally pop out anywhere. Another good way when you're tracking wild dogs is if you suddenly see impala flying past you. Well, apparently Jamie's got something completely amazing and I don't even know what it is, so let's go have a look.
Just have a look at this. The waterbuck are all relaxed, but have a look at the female at the back. Now, if you want to see an animal that has had a narrow escape, there is one. I don't know what she escaped from. It could be a leopard, it could be a lion, it could even be those wild dogs. Just look at her. Oh, poor girl. She is absolutely covered. She's soaked around her head with blood. And that, I would say it's unlikely to be wild dogs. It must have been a leopard or a lion. Let's reposition so we don't have the sun shining straight on it and you can get an idea. So if you are sensitive to the sight of blood, when we do reposition, you might want to turn away. But she's going to be fine, by the way. She's going to be absolutely fine. She's not mortally wounded. It's just a serious, there we go, just a serious injury. I wonder what she escaped and when that happened. Shame, girl. Let's try one more reposition. Could it be dogs? I don't think so. And just tell you why. It's the position of that injury. It looks as though it's on the top of her neck and her ear. But maybe if they manage to pull her head down, it's possible. But I think chances are it was... She looks too relaxed for a start. I think this injury happened last night. She's being very difficult right now. Not, of course, that we blame her at all. She's just not quite in an easy position to see. My suspicion is either... No, girl, it's okay. My suspicion is either lion or leopard, to be honest. That injury. Something jumping on the back of her head. And of course, as you know, head wounds do bleed a great deal, so it might not be as serious as it looks. Her ear's a little bit torn up. Very interesting. No, that's definitely something's jumped on her back and grabbed her by the back of the neck. You can see where most of the blood is situated, behind the ears there. So that, you are looking at one of the luckiest waterbuck, or she must certainly feel like one of the luckiest waterbuck out here. She's done phenomenally well to have survived. A really, truly fortunate escape. She's big, so the chances are she'd definitely be too big for a female leopard. A male, maybe, of Tingana's size, maybe for Djuma or Mvula in this area. But with all of the lion activity out here, I would say my guess would be lion. I don't think wild dog. She's not injured anywhere else. Might even just be her ear that's a bit torn up. But she looks absolutely fine otherwise. No limps, no other visible wounds. She's probably going to be just fine. Almost looks too pink to be blood, but it is blood. It has to be. There you go. A very fortunate waterbuck. The only thing she has to do now is stave off infection. As you can imagine, the mouth of a predator is not a pretty place. There's plenty of bacteria that lives in there. But with these animals' phenomenal immune systems, if it were a baby, it would have a greater chance of becoming infected. But because she's an adult, and with their incredible resistance to bacteria and their incredible strength and resilience, she's going to be fine. Phew, okay. Now, it wasn't quite amazing, but it was really, really interesting. Amazing was perhaps the wrong word that I used, but I was amazed when I came around the corner and saw her. And good luck, girl. I don't think it's our wild dogs, though. I think it's a lucky escape from lions. And so, the search for the wild dogs continues. Where shall we go next, everybody? Shall we check Gallego Pan? After all of that, because although those tracks led away from there, they've now done a loop back towards it. I wonder if we shouldn't head back in that direction. What amazes me about that waterbuck injury is that it's fresh. That blood, and by the way, if you have tuned out because you didn't want to watch, you can look again. We have moved on from our waterbuck. It is a fresh injury, and yet I have not seen one fresh lion track here. I wonder where that happened. Perhaps in Buffelshoek, a little bit to the north of us. And so, the hunt for the wild dogs continues. And apparently, I've just heard an update on the Game Drive channel. Apparently, Brent says there was a report of a male lion walking from Gowrie Gate. So, he might be responsible for that injury. That's just a little bit to the northwest of where we are. Okay. What should we do, everybody? I think Gallego Pan. My instinct says Gallego Pan. Let's go Gallego Pan. My instinct actually said Gallego Pan when we were back at nearly at Gallego Pan. And we turned around and we went back. And I think we should go there. I think, potentially, if we hadn't been distracted by those harrier hawks, not that that was a bad sighting, it was an incredible sighting. But if we hadn't been distracted by those, I think we might have found the wild dogs. That smell of them on Mvubu Road was so fresh. And as I said at the time, that's the only time that your sense of smell really comes in useful in the bush. One of the only times. Because it's then that you know that what you're tracking is especially fresh. Hello, buffalo. Now, you would not be concerned by wild dogs, would you? Not in the slightest. Hello, gentlemen. Yes, agreed. I don't suppose you've seen wild dogs, have you? Ah, the buffalo bears his secrets well. Just a gentle snort in displeasure. Okay. We're not going to linger for too long with our buffalo bulls. Not to say that they are boring, they are wonderfully extraordinary animals. But they're not what we're looking for right now, and if we linger too long, we will regret it. These wild dogs have led us on such a merry dance. Backwards, forwards, different directions. And that's half the fun of a wild dog chase. Now, I did rudely interrupt Brent in order to show you that particular water buck that was so fascinating. I think let us head back to him. Let's find out what his plans are from here.
So unfortunately the wild dog tracks have gone to the north. We're still in the area around Sydney's waterhole. I saw the lion tracks coming across from Sibambili. I'm just trying to see where they come out here. So I didn't see any closer to Sydney's. Okay.